Jaden, go ahead, please. Let's read what do we need to do for question number 10. Thank you.
For the following exercises, simply domain the name of the function.
Thank you. All right. So for number 10, we got the following. What did it say there? F of x is equal to, that's logarithm, base what? What's the base in there, guys? 2. Thank you. Right. And then parenthesis, we got the following in there, 12 minus 3x minus 3. All right. So once again, we got the following. F of x is equal to log base 2 of 12 minus 3x minus 3. Now, with that being said, we want to analyze this one in terms of our form for this one, okay? So in short, what do we need to do first? You just want x, okay? But since there's a negative 3 in here, what do we do first, guys? We have 2. Again, you just want the x, right? But there's a negative 3 with x. So how do you do that? What do you do to remove this negative 3? Factor it out first, right? So let's factor out negative 3 inside the parenthesis. Okay, so with that being said, then we can write this one out as follows. Log base 2. Now inside parenthesis in here, we're going to factor out negative 3. Okay, so we put it in here. Okay. Now, and then minus 3 in here, this one, right? So what's going to happen in here? What's going to remain in here when you factor out negative 3 on the 12 minus 3x, okay? First, what's negative 3x divided by negative 3? 1x, right? There we go. Okay. Next, what's 12 divided by negative 3? Negative 4. Okay, guys, once again, you just want x, okay? But since in here, x is multiplied by negative 3, so you have to factor out the negative 3 first, right? Are we good? Right? And that's the only thing that we need to do for this one, right? Now let's analyze this one in terms of its key features. So once again, if it's a negative in front of the log function itself, then it's gonna flip along the x-axis or a horizontal flip, right? If there's a negative inside the parenthesis, like such, right? Then that means it's gonna flip along the what? Y-axis or a vertical flip. Are we good? Right? Okay. What else? Whatever that B is gonna determine what kind of what? Dilation are we gonna use, right? Is this a horizontal stretch, right? Or is it a horizontal compression, right? So what do we do with that B? Reciprocal, right? Get it's 1 over B and see if it's more than 1 or less than 1. Are we good? Right? What else? Whatever is added or subtracted to your C, to your X inside, that basically is knowing how much it's gonna move from the origin, right? Is it gonna move to the left? To the left, okay, if it's positive, or to the right if it's negative, right? However, if you sign change that C, then that's gonna be your vertical asymptote already. Good. Lastly, the D, the number added to your function, right? Outside the parenthesis, it's going to determine the movement either up or down, right? Up for positive, down for negative. Are we good? Right? So with this being said, so from here, what can you say then? What kind of transformations happen in here? Is there a flipping that happened? If so, is it a horizontal x-axis flip or a vertical y-axis flip? What do you think, guys? Vertical flip, right? Because of this one, then that means that's a vertical flip. Correct. Are we good, guys? Right? What else? This minus 4, what does it mean? How did it move? Left, right, or up, down? Right, 4 units. Very good, right? So it moved right 4 units. Right? Also that your vertical asymptote will happen where? At x is equal to, well, sign change, whatever that c is, right? So, what's that gonna be? X equals what? 4, right? So we're gonna see later where is that vertical asymptote at x equals 4, okay? And lastly, this minus 3 tells us that your graph will move where?
Down 3.
Down 3 units. Very good, right? So it's gonna move down 3 units as well. Are we good, guys? Okay, so let's see how it looks like, all right? So from the graph, it should look like the following in here. Let's see how it does look like. Okay. Let's plug it in decimals and see how it's gonna look like. Y is equal to, okay. Once again, log base 2 is how to do that one. Click on the tools, functions. You go under what group? Calculus group, right? So under the calculus group, we're gonna look for what? Log with a base. Make that base or subscript 2, right? Okay. Inside, we're gonna put what? 12 minus 3x, right? In parentheses, and then put in here what? Minus 3. Are we good, guys, with what we did? Right. Where do you think is a vertical asymptote once again? X is equal to 4. So you see that the vertical line at blue, right? That's your vertical asymptote, right? As you may notice, this is your regular log function. It's going to the right, okay? But since this one is gonna flip vertically, that's why this one was flipped on this other side. Are we good, guys? Right? One more thing, from the origin, it moved to the right 4 units, okay? And also moved down how many units? 3 units. Are we good? Okay. Now, let's see some other key features of this graph, right? What are the other key features of this graph? So first, we got the vertical asymptote. From the vertical asymptote, we can already determine what the domain is, right? What do you think is the domain of this one? X is going from where to where? What's the leftmost x and the rightmost x value for that graph? Negative infinity. Very good, right? Going to where? 4. Very good. Always is going to go to the vertical asymptote, right? Whether to the right or to the left, it's gonna go towards the vertical asymptote. Are we good, guys? Right? And we can check in here. Basically, you can put in here an interval notation. However, you can still put in like an inequality notation for such, right? And what is that? X less than, right? 4, right? So as you may notice, that green is basically your domain. Are we good, guys? Okay. What else? Range. What do you think is the range for this one? And this is true for all types of log functions. All real numbers, very good. Negative to positive infinity. Get it, guys? Okay. So what else do we need in there? We got the vertical asymptote, we got the domain, we got the range. When we can pinpoint where the x-intercept is, right? Where do you think is the x-intercept for this one? Is it an x-intercept? What is that in fraction form? 1 1/3. Right, guys? Get it? Are we good? Right. What else? We need to determine the right end behavior and left end behavior of this graph. So according to this graph, what do you think, guys, is the right end behavior? Look at the right end. What's happening to the right end in here? right end. Okay. As x goes to where? So where is your x going to on the right? Is it going to infinity or is it going to a certain value of x? Look at your x value. Get stuck in there, right? Okay, and what is that value of x?
4.
4, right? As x approaches 4, very good. Where is your y going to?
Negative infinity.
Negative infinity, right? So as you may notice in there, on the right end, your x will get stuck at where? 4. In short, on the right end, it will go closer and closer and closer to the vertical asymptote, which is 4, right? But your y is going what? Infinitely down. Are we good, guys? Right. What about on the left end behavior? Let's look at here. On the left end behavior, what's happening to this graph? Your x is going where?
Negative infinity.
Infinitely left. Very good. Right. Correct. Now, where is your y going to? Is it going up? Is it going down? Will it get stuck at a certain horizontal asymptote? What do you think, guys? Anyone?
Positive infinity.
Positive infinity, right? As you may notice, this will go up and up and up without bound, right? So what that means, your y goes to positive. Okay? So any questions regarding those key features, right? So again, for these key features, we identify the domain based from the vertical asymptote, okay? We identify the range, which always is going to be all real numbers, negative to positive infinity. We identify the right and the left end behavior, and as we notice, if one goes to infinity or negative infinity, the other one or the other end will go to what? The vertical asymptote, at least its x value. Any questions? Questions, guys? We good?